they are putting forward here for Volsky Industries. Nesh is still in. Kib moved over to sit out, have a little breather. And Happy called us back in. The veteran, the man, the Icelandic army knife who can play anything, but usually the diva, to make sure that Fusions is there as safe and sound as one can be when you're a moon monkey.
A moon monkey.
A moon monk or a moon ape, to be precise.
To be very precise. Well, to be precise, we have about 6 and a bit seconds left. Here we go. Snakes on the attack this time. British Hurricane on the defense. This is assault, of course, not control. Sorry for the small confusion there. We are obviously on Volskaya. Hasn't changed map type for some reason. Don't worry.
Oh man, can you imagine if Volskaya had like a associated control map? That'd be pretty cool. But
pretty cool.
Asking is going to be trying to do something pretty cool to start off with. He's got the jump shot, but can't quite connect with anyone's head. And right now he's going to be scouting out for Nesh, who gets a little love tap across the map and is sent Scarborough.
Yes, he's going to get healed up rather quickly. Mikey doing what Hanzos do best and actually stick on top of this roof using that vertical mobility. Ooh, that was very close. In fact, Zapre is going to go down. Okay, Doctor in the house. Pocket is going to take him out. Now Zapre is going to go all the way back to spawn, which means Snakes, they're going to be playing a little bit more defensive.
An orb a day and the Doctor will send you away is definitely what Zapre's learned here, but Asking is also delivering lessons of his own, and Nesh in kind just trade outs here, but of course trade outs usually will favor the defense, but of course it's only one person's gone down, the resurrections will be there.
Big dive in coming through from British Hurricane tanks to make sure Snakes don't actually get onto their backline. You can see them holding that big health pack room. However, you can see now Christopher using those stairs, using that vertical mobility coming through from the Tracer also to get on top of the supports. No one's fallen just yet. Rocket's just perfectly pocketed here, although finally Zapre does end up getting the melee reset from the recall, and in fact he's going to find himself another kill in Fusions. A big stick onto Crusade, kills himself, but he's already done the damage. He's taken out 3 members with him. However, can Hurricane actually stabilize?
The kamikaze attack with a hashtag worth coming out of Zapre, and Nesh trying to bring it back and takes a little tap there from Asking, but not the headshot, so he's keeping this in contestation, of course. Christopher moving forward, making sure that Mikey A can't sit comfortably on top of that pavilion, and potentially time here for Bocket to rejoin his team.
Yeah, Infosight's used by Asking now, so he knows exactly where everybody is. Now look what they're trying to do. They're trying to force Nesh up onto this high ground.
Into the trap.
You knew it was there, and he kills Bok as well. Nesh, you know they had Infosights. He finds another headshot onto the Winston, who was Discord. It doesn't quite go down yet and activates the Primal Rage. He's now had enough of Asking and sends him to a very deep and icy cold plunge into the ocean. A self-destruct on the point is going to find Kodak also. So British Hurricane, they are able to stabilize in the end.
And now you can see that the dregs of British Hurricane are being slowly picked off by the Snakes as the dive really finishes off here. I've got a little bit of a lore tidbit for you, Jaws. You said about how Asking on that Widowmaker was put down into the deep, cold depths, and I'm not sure how much that would do to Widowmaker because her skin's blue, because she's got terrible circulation. Not sure how much the cold would do.
That was the most out of, just off-the-wall bit of lore that I could ever hope for.
Well,
so
you know me, I always deliver the unasked for lore.
Yeah, the unasked for lore. No, it's
yeah,
quite nice.
I'm like throwing a textbook at your head. Time to learn, Jaws.
I'm more of a, I've never been such a lore guy, but obviously when you do bring up the little tidbits, it's always quite interesting to know. But
I'll make you a lore guy.
Yeah, exactly that. Exact same with other series like Warcraft. I could never get into the lore of it, but I just like playing it. I could always rely on at least one friend to tell me everything about it.
Well, speaking of things that we like to play, Asking once again on for Widowmaker. He's going to be sticking on that to try and control the sidelines here as they move into Volskaya, and British Hurricane are going to be starting off in cover. Christopher's going to be trying to remove that from them though.
Rocket's going to almost go down yet again. He's actually forced to use that Transcendence. Stick from Zapre almost hits the Mercy. However, she ends up getting out there rather quickly. Although, look how much they're actually committing to killing this Mercy here. Christopher almost gets the knockoff into the ocean once again.
Almost
Can't quite find anything, and he is going to get healed up by Cave here as he almost goes down. That Discord Orb doing a fair bit of damage to him as everybody else was pummeling him in the front line. Speaking of pummeling, Happycore is going to take a large one of those in the form of the self-destruct, and Crusade's going to go down as well. A Transcendence now from Snakes, a rather aggressive one, not to stop any damage really going through, just make every single death count here for British Hurricane. And they are going to unleash the dragons on the side, but they can't stop these 2 ticks from going over.
Nesh isn't really going to be removing that many people from the point right here. Crusade desperately ducking, dipping, diving, and dodging away.
A sticky bomb does end up landing on Happycore. He ends up going down. The Winston will rejoin the fray, although Fusions is instantly taken care of. Transcendence from Pocket yet again, which means Fusions can actually get up. You could see there Crusade wiggling around, trying to make sure a headshot didn't land. And with that, Hurricane might be able to stabilize here. Even Happycore, Mikey A, they're changing up onto heroes that can get back to the point extraordinarily quickly. Zapre once more tries to go for the kill onto the Zenyatta, but can't quite make anything stick.
The desperation pushes there from Hurricane, despite giving up 2 ticks on the first aggression there of Snakes. Will retake the point, but now there is no room for error on the side of British Hurricane. They cannot give up a tick. They were so close to having lost that. But they're going to need to have someone on the point pretty much all the time, because they can't allow Snakes to gain any progress, because then you sort of run out of the chances you're given when you're in that sort of final stall scenario.
Well, once again, Snakes just switching it up here and asking is actually going to go over to the McCree. Very scared, maybe. A Genji coming out from Mikey A, maybe, although not obviously famed for it, more famed as a Tracer player. Zapre did get another stick onto Fusions, but he's in the bubble, so he's going to be safe for the time being. He's going to get healed up by the rest of his supports as well. Happy Cool and everybody else is corralled into this small space on the right-hand side. It just seems Snakes are unwilling to relent the pressure. Asking now coming up on the McCree, misses the flashbang, but it doesn't seem to matter. There's 2 support ultimates on the board as Crusade and a Transcendence come out from Snakes. Asking still left alone completely in this fight. The flashbangs aren't quite needed. He's getting double pocketed right now. He takes out Crusade in mid-air again, and they're going to be able to capture the point. Trickling from British Hurricane. They couldn't quite get back on it.
There was no time for trickle with only 1 tick to spare there, and we talked about this being the tipping point here for British Hurricane. They need to turn it around here to get for a reverse sweep, to make sure they don't go down 1 and 2 in Contenders after having won it in the first season. And well, now Snakes have really cut their work out for them. That's a respectable time for Volsky. British Hurricane need to do better. And that's exactly what they're going to be trying to do as they come out here on the offense. Of course, Snakes are going to have pretty stalwart defense in their face. And of course, it can be incredibly tough to try and break these defenses, especially against double sniper. But Zapre, he prefers not to stay on the Hanzo so long. We've seen him here and there with the Hanzo, but better to stay on the Tracer where he's doing so well. Make sure that you're a thorn in the side of Bok and let Asking do what Asking does.
And that's headshot a whole lot of people.
A whole lot of people.
Now, Zapre, like you mentioned, thorn in the side of British Hurricane. That's exactly what we saw him do. And in fact, his dive partner, Christopher, they're working extraordinarily well together. And we saw, you can see on your screens right now, just the small corner that British Hurricane were forced into. Normally you have your supports sitting around there. Sometimes obviously you have the Mercy up on the balcony to give a damage boost to someone like a Widowmaker. But everybody was in that corner for the majority of that time. There was so much pressure coming out from Snakes, they just couldn't handle it. British Hurricane were forced back more often than not, and that's what enabled Snakes, after that first push, to get 92% capture rate.
Yeah, they definitely got they got Harry Pottered by the Dursleys. They got shoved in that shoved in the understairs cupboard. Maybe you can just slide a few playing cards under the door. You can play with those. And we'll have to see if British Hurricane are going to get their letter inviting them to Hogwarts, or at least a 4th and 5th map, potentially, if they try and reverse sweep here. But it's not looking good for them to start with. We talked about it before. 2 minutes and 31 seconds is what Snakes has to attack the map again, should British Hurricane succeed here.
Have they got the magic? I do not know. Doesn't look like they are going to go out with full dive. Christopher doing a little bit of scouting with a 3D peek there using the emote, just casually sitting down. That's the most adorable Winston emote, by the way, where he's just kind of sitting down all casual-like.
I don't know how many gorillas could be described as adorable once they're all grown up and incredibly muscular, but he's going to be under pressure already. Look at how low he's going, and he's not going to be in a resable position here. Cave can't get there, and Snakes may already be on the ropes.
Well, 2 tanks pretty much down now. Taiko gets demeched also, but Asking is going to claim a life, and so is Zapre. So, almost a like-for-like trade there as Happy Cool loses his mech also. Nesh, look how aggressive he's being now. Just corralling everybody from Snakes onto that pier front. Taiko is going to end up finding him, and a resurrection possibly coming through as well. Snakes are going to be able to clean up the rest of British Hurricane, who went in incredibly deep and just couldn't make it out alive.
Snakes there, showing great ability to not panic when under huge pressure. They lost Christopher straight away. Unresable position. This could be an unsalvageable point, but I think this comes down to the backroom staff. Gizmo, MCS, and KDG. They knew how to keep these guys in the correct mentality all the time, and Snakes did not panic. They clutched up. They did what Snakes does, and they rebuffed the Hurricane.
Oh, infocytes now from Asking. Like I said, he knows every single grapple spot, every single small hole to get the pixel-perfect precision headshots that he needs to win his team the team fight. And in fact, Mikey A is going to go down, so that's going to be 1 DPS threat now eliminated for British Hurricane. Just like a res is going through, but Pocket is going to fall as well. Zapre is being so aggressive with his pulse bomb usage also. Every time he gets one up, he's going to have one very, very soon because he lobs them out every single time he has them.
Well, he can try and throw them into cover and force people into where Asking can shoot from in the head, and look at how low the main tanks are right now. So much cleave damage coming through, and Fusions can't take it.
Fusions was actually forced in there by the self-destruct. Another self-destruct is launched here, and this time it was Happy Calls, and he actually managed to find the kill onto Kodak. They're going to get the resurrection, however, as Cave does pop that Valkyrie to make sure he can stay alive. That infinite regen coming through from Mercy is also handy when you're up in the air or going for that res.
Asking once again has put Mikey A in a body bag, puts a school and headshot there, and Zapre once again has built up that pulse bomb. Straight away, it's out. No one's going to sit on it this time, but they're put into the scopes of Asking, who picks up Happy Call.
But again, it is just that pressure. You don't want to stand the explosive, so you just get lined up in the sights of Asking, who takes another click and another bang and another headshot onto Happy Call. As Zapre is going to find yet another kill onto Fusions and 50% on another pulse bomb already, Harry. They got 1 minute and 20 seconds left. He's winning the duels out with Mikey A as well.
Headshot after headshot coming through from Zapre, the young Danish prodigy here, going up against Mikey A, part of Team UK in the Overwatch World Cup. You got to wonder who's going to win out in that duel. On pedigree, you'd usually say Mikey A, but Zapre here, he's making a case for himself as a formidable DPS player.
Finding it yet another flank, Asking, activating those info sites. Zapre knows exactly where everybody is, and look, they can see Mikey A. They know where he's going for the long flank as well. Winston is going to lay down that bubble from British Hurricane to stop a lot of that damage coming in. Speaking of a lot of damage, that's a lot of dragons as well. It's
that's
actually
a lot of damage.
A lot of people very low. Christopher's going to take the brunt of that. Asking now has to be able to clutch this point out. There are 2 members dead and the mech missing from Heiko. He needs to find a couple of quick headshots, but Fusion's just making very short work of him. And in fact, Mikey A finally finding his mark as well.
Well, he knew that point was lost. He went for the 360 headshot on Fusions. He did manage to get it, but didn't quite claim the kill, but I'm sure he's very proud of himself for that one. And now, well, Christopher's just going to have to sacrifice himself to a great goal to time. Max, here comes a re-engagement.
Hang on, double support ult used. Nesh avoids the pulse bomb using that dash to the side. Asking still up there, completely free to do a lot of damage, and Kodak is going to find the claim and kill on Mikey A. In fact, he's going to kill Nesh as well. Christopher's going to get up. They got 30 seconds remaining. This is a fantastic re-engage from Snakes. Transcendence coming through from British Hurricane. Happy Call still has that self-destruct, but Pocket is already dead. Crusade only solo healing now is going to get corralled towards the spawn of Snakes. They're going to take him out. Zapre single-handedly carrying this point for the rest of Snakes. However, Happy Call finds a double kill with the self-destruct, with Heiko's mech going down as well. It flips around once again as British Hurricane take control of the point.
Christopher has Primal Rage. He may want to use it here, but no, he's going to keep it in the bank. It's a smart play there from Christopher, and 4 minutes have been afforded to British Hurricane. 4 minutes to stay alive in this series and possibly stay alive in Contenders. Their pride is on the line here. The former champions up against the former 0-5, and now it's all about the first tick coming through.
They're going to find that first tick very, very quickly. Asking back on his trusted McCree. He's going to hang around with his Zenyatta to keep him safe. Heiko's mech ends up getting lost and turned to scrap, and Nesh takes a fair bit of damage, but Lucio's going to heal them up nice and proper, and Nesh is going to be able to kill off Asking. So now British Hurricane have control of the point. They've still got that tick in the bank, and that pulse bomb did a whole bunch of damage to the rest of Snakes, corralled in that small corner like we were talking about before, Harry, but this time it's British Hurricane damaging Snakes. They do self-destruct to get the remake, and in fact, as Heiko jumping straight back onto the point, showing off his mouse sensitivity as he does zip through the air. A Discord Orb and a couple of pulse pistol shots from Mikey A does demech him. Eventually, they kill him off as well, but Fusions is going to soon to follow.
And now everyone being corralled into that corner once again have broken out. Pocket taken down in a clean clip from Zapre.
Zapre's an absolute monster. He's taken out 3 people already. He's looking for his 4th. Crusade's going to fall as well. Single-handedly again holding on to this point and holding on to their life in this game.
The man's got nerves of steel. He used to play for Misfits. He's used to the big stage and he's played there before, and he's showing exactly why he has been brought onto this Snakes roster by the judicious forming of this roster by KDG. He's like, Zapre is the one I want, and you can see exactly why.
That was a disgusting kill from Asking onto Nesh there. Storm arrows across the map, not finds 1, but finds 2 headshots. Does get quickly rezzed, of course, as Crusade was at his back. And now Mikey A looking for a small flank. He has that pulse bomb in his back pocket. He ends up sticking 1 as well. It could be a big kill, but that's a Transcendence instantly used in return. And in fact, British Hurricane are going to make sure they use theirs as well, not to be beaten out just yet.
It's going to facilitate the resurrection, but they've got to stay on the point. They've only got 1 tick to go. It's Dejavu right here, back to British Hurricane's defense.
2 minutes still remain. Zapre trying trying to find some more kills, but the problem is there's so many chunky targets and he's only got one recall. Avi ends up taking him out and Fusions kills, gets the kill onto Cave. A self-destruct launched into the air and actually finds Crusade. That might be the entry that Snakes actually need here. However, Heiko going down is going to be all up to Snakes, jumping back on this point rather sharpish. 2 ticks have been acquired and the Zenyatta and the Lucio are going to come in and stall for more time.
The emergency Lucio is going to be dancing around. Cave's well known for this on this play on Singularity, but they're being taken out one after another.
Fusion's found his footing once again, and so has Nesh as he finds the headshot onto Cave. The Dragons have been launched in through spawn to clear everybody off the point for the time being, and Asking is finally back, but he's on the Houndsditch this time. No more McCree. He's had enough of messing around. Christopher finds one, and Nesh ends up going down. A Transcendence to instantly answer with a Resurrection as well to get Nesh back up, but Crusade is punished for it. He ends up getting stuck, but there's still more time to spare. 1 minute now remain for British Hurricane, and they've got just an inch more to finally capture the point. They end up doing it, but they only secure 1 minute in the time bank for their second attack.
Well, less time than Snakes, and that means that British Hurricane are back on the clock. They're going to be attacking once more, twice in quick succession here. We'll have to see if a barrage will be withstood by the Snakes defense. Oh my golly. Asking. I'm really not envying our analysts right now. Well, actually, you can talk a lot about Zapray, but Snakes are going to be very DPS heavy when it comes to analysis, and everyone else has been doing incredibly well as well, but you just can't feel the kill feed like Zapray and Asking do.
It's actually quite scary what they can do, especially Zapray. Not even left ignored either. There are a lot of resources coming out from British Hurricane to deal with him. Happy called especially, trying to get that defense matrix, and we know him for his fantastic diva play, trying to cover Bok. He's trying to do it. He's trying his hardest, but Zapray still manages to get in the back lines and cause so many issues. We saw British Hurricane almost lose out there on that last push because of Zapray. Fills the kill feed, like you said.
And we see them target Bok because Bok is incredibly dangerous on the Zenyatta with the Orbs of Destruction and the Orb of Discord, and of course the Orb of Harmony giving you 30 HPS and the Transcendence. But why they're doing that is because Snakes, we've seen it again and again, are so good at taking advantage of how vulnerable Crusade is when he's forced to go for that Resurrection. British Hurricane do not want to play undermanned, and that means Crusade has to put himself in danger. Hathikal tries to get him with a defensive matrix, but you can't defense matrix stuff like Tesla cannons being landed on by a Winston, and Snakes are always aggressive enough to take advantage.
Well, Snakes now on match point, and British Hurricane have only got a minute to turn that one around. Nesh is jumping on this Hanzo this time, so he's going to be able to put a lot of damage in the front lines, and we can see what he can do when he's looking through that glass, but you've got to deal with Asking, you've got to deal with him somehow. He's laying free fire right now into the front line. That is why you do not mess with Asking. A headshot and Zapray there to finish him off. Not only do his tanks cover for him, his DPS cover for him as well. Speaking about dangerous Zenyatas, apparently Bok's not one to be messed with. Kodak and Christopher fall. Kodak gets a resurrection in the end, but the Dragons are going to be unleashed. They're going to be put onto the point and splitting the rest of Snakes apart. However, with Asking falling now and Fusion's claiming 2 kills here, Snakes are on their last live.
Bok's coming out with a Thanos, fine, I'll do it myself, but now Nesh is deciding to take over. He's still got arrows in hand, and of course British Hurricane are going to be claiming the first point here. They will get 30 courtesy seconds, Jaws. That's enough time for one attack onto point B. They need to claim it, they need to get percentage on the board to try and keep themselves in this game.
If I was Bok right now and I was Crusade, I'd be pretty scared. Zapray has the pulse bomb. They're going to have to force that Transcendence if it lands near or on Holt.
Indeed it is. Crusade, of course, has a Valkyrie to maybe have a more safe resurrection later into the fight, but for now he wants to try and keep that for when everyone's on the point rather than doing it early and making sure it isn't available for as long.
Asking in a nice dominant position here, switching over from that Widowmaker. It's going to land a Sonic Arrow into Nesh. Nesh goes extremely low. Asking being very aggressive as well. Crusade pops that Valkyrie to get out of danger rather quickly. Self-destruct thrown up in mid-air, and in fact a second one as well from British Hurricane. It lands on the point, clearing everybody off, but Nesh is already going to go down to Asking. Mikey A now with the Pulse Bomb, sticks the Diva. Can he get the final kill on it? No, he cannot, because Zapray's there behind him. Secret sleeper agent Zapray making sure it's impossible for British Hurricane to finish this point. Asking now working his way up towards the Dragons, hasn't got a dash!
Oh, no!
Sends it out back, she takes a dip instead. Zapray still inside the bubble, can't do much damage, but jumps on the Bok. Bok needs to be able to come up big here, but ends up going down as well. Christopher with the Primal Rage kill, as well as Fusion's getting one also. Nesh switching over to the Emergency Soldier, doing a lot of healing and damage from the frontline position, but Kodak's going to do exactly the same thing. And now a Doomfist finally coming out from Mikey A, and we're seeing him get back to the point rather sharpish as well, but there's just not enough support, it seems, for British Hurricane to actually complete. Heiko Asking, they get their names on the feed, but you can see the contestation. It was 4-1, and it will be overtime ticking through with British Hurricane only finding a point.
Snakes respawn so close, and they opened their arms to welcome the British Hurricane stragglers. Welcome to our den of pain. I hope you enjoy your stay, and we're going to kick you out rather sharpish, so don't stay long, and no percentage was claimed here. So the hope here for British Hurricane for 2 minutes and 31 seconds, they need to hold on Volskaya A. If they do not, then this series is a draw or a loss, and they will have no chance to come back.
Well, they've done it once. Can they do it again? They did it last week, remember? This was their turning point map. And remember, this was their pick also. So there is clearly something here that they know they're strong with. And that's been quite evident, in honesty. Mikey A has been trying to deal with Asking, but they seem to be going with a strategy of let's kill everybody around Asking, and hopefully he doesn't end up picking us off first. And it has been working out for them, in all honesty.
And when you bring Mikey A in here on the Tracer, you don't really... Well, no one really would expect the counter Tracer on the defense from Zapray. Tracer used to be ubiquitous, but now a little bit more of a rare and niche pick because of multiple things such as the introduction of Double Sniper, the armor that can be gained by Goat's composition with Brigitte's Rally, and Zapray, he doesn't have to worry about much of that at all. He's going mano a mano with Mikey A, winning out consistently. Then he's moving on to Bok, and Crusade is forced to put his attention there.
It's a very almost flashback compositions coming out from Season 1 for sure. And now, like you said, 2 minutes, 30 seconds was the time bank for Snakes. And Asking, jumping onto that Widowmaker. Here's the peaks you're going to know and love. Note them down, because he hits heads. And you'll hit heads too if you've got good aim at Asking. Does send out the Venom Mine too to try and spot someone out, but doesn't quite get it.
Nesh going for a long peek here, will take the shot, but not quite connect. And now Zapray putting in a couple of warning shots. He knows that Bok is on top of him, but Arsing's going to deal with that one first. And now they're going to try and catch Crusade midway through the res, potentially.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to res that at all. And in fact, Fusions is going to go down. Nesh is going to soon to follow. Snakes looking pretty good on their first assault here. Zapray claims yet another life. They have Mikey A to still deal with, but he's just going to dash straight back to spawn. He knows it's lost. One push wonder for Snakes. They now have about 1 minute and 30 seconds for British Hurricane to defend.
And now it's they basically need to play spoiler to Snakes' map score, because at this point Snakes can only draw here, and then British Hurricane cannot win the series. These former champions, Jaws, we talk about it again. Mosaic went 0-5. The champions versus the losers of Season 1, to put it brutally. And now British Hurricane are the losers. Snakes currently looking fantastic.
Zapray has the pulse bomb once again. He knows exactly where you are, Mikey A. Self-destruct in the corner. Rocket doesn't end up going down, but Crusade definitely does. Zapray does manage to find the D-Mech as well onto Happy Cool. Snakes, they're just so close to getting this win. This is 3-0 as well against the Season 1 champions. Asking Zapray, they're going to send it home. Snakes with the win on Volskaya. And a win in the series as well. British Hurricane not quite finding that reverse sweep that they wanted.
Not quite finding it at all, and, well, it had to start there, and it didn't. So, British Hurricane, what's wrong, guys? What's happened? Season 1 champions? Fangs out, they said. Definitely, there has been no defanging of the Snakes, who are biting hard, and they are biting into the hind of Hurricane and showing everyone just why they are here in Overwatch Contenders.
Well, they did pick up 2 extra players in Nesh and Mikey A. Maybe they need to go back to the drawing board, re-watch the VOD, obviously, and just see where they went wrong. And I got to say, maybe it was just all about shutting down Ask and Zapray, because those were the star, and I got to be honest, highlight players from that game. And it's all backed up by Christopher too. It's so good they were at just diving the back line. Christopher's coordination with Zapray was honestly some of the best we've seen from Snakes, and obviously formerly Mosaic as well. This team is going up and up and up.
Yeah, Kodak very rarely getting picked as well. And we see Cave, who was on Singularity, who did pretty badly during last season's Group A, having lost out as well as British Hurricane, coming back and claiming his vengeance here. On a new team, it's a new Cave, and he's a very impressive sport. Very rarely getting picked on the Mercy.
New Cave, new team, and they're going
new
up
season,
and up
new
and
me.
Up. New season, and they're going up and up and up on the board as well. They end up taking the series 3-0. Still got that map 4 to come though. We're going to jump to a quick break though, guys. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, guys. This is British Hurricane versus Snakes. Snakes taking the series 3-0 right now. However, there is still one more map to go. British Hurricane can still vie for those map points. And I got to say, Asking, he is one of those players that makes you want to play McCree and makes you want to play Widowmaker and these hit scan heroes because he's just so damn stylish with them. He just styles on literally everybody.
He's like French Pine, like Le Pine. Can we call him Le Pine?
Close to, maybe not, but yeah.
Big boss Asking.
Yeah, he's close to it right now. He has just been showing up every single map. No matter what it is, it's Hanzo, Widowmaker. It's just insane. This guy just cannot be stopped, it seems.
As DPS duo right beside him, Zapre. These guys, let's just put this in context. British Hurricane are an academy team with 3 DPS players, 4 if you count Happy Cool. They have all of those available against these 2 and are being thoroughly outclassed in every single DPS duel that's been brought to them.
Well, British Hurricane have had some light, especially on Oasis. We saw them running 3-3, which is honestly something that we thought they'd run because they are a very versatile team in the way that they can seemingly play almost everything, Happy Cool being one of those members, and bringing on 2 extra DPS slots as well. Mikey A has been flexing onto the Brigitte, who's also been doing extremely well, and 3-3 just seemed to fit British Hurricane perfectly. It did work on a few fights on Oasis when they were able to gain dominant control. Obviously, Asking and the rest of Snakes were able to pin them to the post. However, 3-3 seems like a goldmine for them.
Yeah, I think you're on something there, Jaws. Don't take the DPS duels. It's not really working out at the moment because Asking and Zapre, they've found their groove. They are on fire, and I doubt they're going to be dislodged from the throne where they've put themselves. So instead, let's just try some brute force. Get behind fusions, get behind your main man, your shot caller, and just go and smash down some walls.
Go and smash down some fools. Now, Rialto will be our escort map to round off the series and round off the evening as well. And I want to see British Hurricane just roll out with that 3-3. It can be very deadly, however, if you're running into something like a Ryan Zaya and they're just kind of pummeling you with rockets. But that's where Kib can come into the roster also. His fire has been so good over the last couple of weeks, even though British Hurricane haven't seen the success in their series wins.
Yeah, there's some great architecture here to play fire around and try and make sure that Asking can never get at you. But when you try and play against a Widow, it's different from trying to play against Asking, because we touched on it at the beginning of the series. Asking's grapple is always on cooldown. This man will come from angles you do not expect and try for the most percentage shots because he has so much faith that he will be rescued if he's caught without his grapple by Heiko, and we've seen that time and again. Asking is so hard to get on top of.
Well, here we go. British Hurricane on the defense, and we do have Kib coming in. Stick on the May, buddy. You know you want to do it. And Happy Cool obviously rounding up the roster.
Kib.
I've got to say, I want to see it, man. Not too great on this map. I've tried a few times to little to no success.
Yeah, I haven't really played that much of this map in comp. It just doesn't come up in the rotation for me. Just doesn't like me.
That is a pity. Normally, in my experience anyway, it's either a roll or rolling. Unfortunately, there's no epic stall-outs like we've seen Giganti do.
Yeah. Well, we have seen quite a few stall-outs, like you said, on the first point of Rialto. It's incredibly difficult to get through. We can put this one into the same sort of club as Junkertown, where at any sort of point in that map, it's highly probable that you'll be stopped. They're very defensively oriented maps on Rialto because the architecture is just so good for making a defensive emplacement that's incredibly hard to dislodge here. But of course, if anyone can dislodge see you, Kib. If anyone can dislodge a well-defended emplacement from British Hurricane, thus far it is Snakes. Zapre and Asking have been proving that time and again over the last 3 maps.
Bucket taking a leisurely sit down on the bench, or hover, I should say. That's a football. I didn't know there was a football there. That's pretty cool. Nesh doing something really sneaky. We saw Christopher do this last time. Remember, if you do emote, you do go into this 3D cam.
3D
so
peek.
He is 3D peeking around the wall.
That said, Christopher did get caught and demolished.
Yes. Nesh isn't going to suffer the same fate. He does have grappling hook, remember, so he can just use that to get out of danger.
Christopher had a leap, but didn't help him out. British Hurricane rounded upon him rather quickly, but of course now Snakes are going to be rounding upon many places because they've got this triple threat coming out. They've got the double sniper and the Roadhog. Cave's going to be the sole healer here on the Mercy, so they aren't going to be... They're going to be wanting for healing, Jaws, but they're also not going to be wanting at all for damage.
The best thing about running Hog at this comp is that he can heal himself. The majority of his HP with that with that take a breath. So now going to push forward on this corner. Fusion's making sure he can contest the car here. You can see him dipping in and out to make sure it doesn't actually move anywhere. Getting a lot of value. Zapre's getting a lot of value also. That gets hooked by Kia, but instantly killed. That small damage boost there you saw at the end coming through from Crusade. Very important. Just a left click, a right click very quickly in order to secure the kill. With Fusion's going down though, remember Arsky picking off that Zenyatta fairly early on. And will be Snakes just leading this one through this small garden area.
And crucially, Cave has survived this entire time. Happy Cool there doing a get down, Mr. President, to make sure Crusade stays safe from the hook, but sacrifices his life in the process. Like we said, Cave, he's not a very pickable Mercy. He's very safe, and that is very much what counts when you move in with this composition where you're the only healing and bucket. He's not safe. Christopher gets him with the Holt, he gets hooked in, and generally just has a bad time.
I want to see what Asking's going to set up. In all honesty, every single time I watch this man, I seem to learn something about Widow positioning, even though I'm not such of a great Widow myself. There's the Dragons coming out, clearing everybody off the point. Mainly Fusions, though, with Asking going down to actually Crusade, who popped the Valkyrie there, getting a little bit of revenge. If no one else is going to take him out, I will take you out for you, no worries. However, how close the car is, about 3 meters right now. Nesh is on the flank, however. This could be very bad for Snakes.
It could indeed. Kodak's brought out the whole hog, and they're still on the cart, keeping it in contestation. Cave's gone down. That was the only healing they had available. He had the Valkyrie as well, and now just kill after kill coming through from British Hurricane in the final fight.
Well, Kodak goes for the rather short reset, or at least try to, as Kib ends up killing him in the end. Nesh with a big flank. Cave is not going to be well protected, especially if you've got a Widowmaker just lurking in your backline.
Well, if we know anything about British Hurricanes, that they can perform in high-pressure situations, lands, finals, they will take you to the last, and they will perform. And Nesh is going to be proving that he is a part of this team by coming out with that incredibly clutch play here to save the first point of Rialto. But Snakes, they of course do have a minute and 30 remaining to try and make a counter-attack work.
Extremely early emphasizing Kib. Oh man, just gets dragged to the side, just pulled in, and then gets hooked as well. That was a little quite disgusting. It's quite a horrible combo in all honesty. Not much you can do as soon as you see that green orb or red orb floating towards you. Asking will get a claim the kill on Nesh, and Kodak moving forward, doing a lot of damage to Fusion's shields. He won't have that for long, not whatsoever. He actually goes on the small flank here. Diva Mech is going to block most of that damage, as well as that Matrix doing a fair bit of work as well. And in fact, a Coalescence coming out from Hurricane to make sure everybody stays alive. But unfortunately, Fusions isn't going to feel all too much of that. Another hook in on Crusade is going to end him also. It should be a fairly easy cap now for Snakes. They do end up finishing off the rest of the members.
Something we didn't really pick up on here is that Bok decided to forgo the Zenyatta and went over instead to Moira, trying to make a lot more healing become available for the British Hurricane main core of Kib, Hafikul, and Fusions. And now Nesh is going to move over to the, there it is, the quad tank with double main healer as well. So we're going to be able to move in with a huge amount of AoE heals from the Valkyrie, and of course a huge amount of AoE heals here from Bucket. So what this has to mean for British Hurricane, you need to make an all-out engagement here. You need to take control of the cart while you have this huge surplus of healing. All or nothing here to try and gain control, because otherwise you're going to feed a huge amount of ultimate.
Snakes just read British Hurricane like a book, as they do send out that Farah as well. They're going to launch those dragons in, spitting up the rest of Hurricane. However, they are going to still be able to move in with the large chunky mash that is their composition. There's the self-destruct. Kodak trying to push everybody back into it, but doesn't quite get it, and doesn't really do a whole lot of anything apart from push them back into that building. There comes the shatter in from out the room, actually lands onto 2 people. Zapre causing quite a bit of a distraction in the back line, but no one's going to, well, they're going to ignore him for the time being. Here goes Mech, gets taken down, and that Coalescence once again unleashed from Bucket.
Zapre is the archer on the roof, and right now he's raining down these arrows pretty impeccably. He's going to be looking for Hafikul. Oh, and he will get the headshot, but Hafikul struck back. Cave disintegrated by the self-destruct, and Snakes, they're sent back to the drawing board. And
he lost him there.
Yeah, just losing track of Zapre as he's sent back to the spawn eventually. Bucket's going to clean that one up, and now Snakes are making a wholesale swap up. Christopher over from the Orisa onto the Reinhardt, and Hago's going to be joining him, boots on the ground with the Zarya. And Snakes here, they are loaded for bear when it comes to damage available. Zapre has the Dragon Strike, Asking has the Barrage, and Cave's going to be ferrying them all into position with that Lucio speed boost.
And one of these worst things about this composition for British Hurricane is they all want to be clumped together, receive that AoE healing, and Asking would absolutely love that with that rocket barrage, and he's got a very nice aerial position on top of them as well here. They've got to be very careful. He is going to just peek his head over the edge there. Nesh actually does end up surviving it all. A sound barrier, a barrier even, just a particle barrier in fact, and a hook would just sentence him to death, and Nesh moving forwards now with the Graviton Surge. Christopher goes for a rather Rather aggressive charge in. Doesn't look like he actually just wants to go for a quick reset, it seems. Hurricane holding right now. They actually have a minute to work with as well. Snakes not doing such a good job of pushing past the second point.
Well, let's talk about the plan that was there. What Snakes want to do, they made sure that asking, or rather Zapray, put the dragon through this central sort of opera house, making sure British Hurricane had to back off and couldn't contest the cart through that doorway that they'd been preferring. But now Zapray's built up yet another, and out goes the Graviton Surge. Maybe this could be the combo they need.
Maybe it is. Graviton Surge straight in with the Dragon Strike. Doesn't find a kill just yet, but they're actually going to isolate the pig. And now Nesh is taking a fair bit of headshots from Zapray. He's going to have to back off rather sharpish. 60% already built up on this Hanzo ult, and they're just marching forwards. Asking just doing such a good job of just denying that shielding coming out. A nice boot from Hafigul does send 2 into the river. However, Snakes still have the numbers advantage. They are able to win the fight eventually, but with 10 seconds on the clock, they still need to push it round this corner to this second point.
Hafigul can do anything when it comes to playing Overwatch, but he'd make a terrible lifeguard, dooming 2 people to drowning there. And now British Hurricane, they've got a couple of tools in the box to try and make this defense work. They have the Graviton Surge, they have the self-destruct. We've seen how this works again and again from Giganti. Fusions need to remove the shield. Already a couple spent by Heiko here, and in goes the self-destruct.
The self-destruct goes in, he has to position his shield perfectly. He doesn't quite get it because Fusions gets the charge kill. A self-destruct kill onto Cave, and now it is Snakes on the run. Although with Crusade going down, that might be their entry into winning the fight. However, with the damage coming out from Zapray, someone's going to have to sustain that through. He has got a lot of the armor from the rallies, but he's jumping straight into the Coalescence. He doesn't seem to mind, but the rest of his team are going to fall around him, and that'll be British Hurricane holding, only capping 1 point on the side of Snakes, but they managed to hold before the second. A beautiful stall coming out from them, and this is what we wanted to see. This triple tank, or this quad tank roster just mowing through everybody, ignoring asking until the very end.
Yeah, don't take the DPS stall when you're going to lose the DPS stall. Do what you can do at the moment, and that's bring out those tanks, really force Snakes to play how you want them to play. And they also brought out that rather unique composition in terms of the support. So they brought out a Mercy and they brought out a Moira. That gives them a huge amount of healing. 60 HPS of point healing from Mercy, and I believe it's 75 for every target of the Biotic Spray from Moira, and that's a huge amount of healing. And you may say, okay, they don't have a defensive ult, but what are you going to use the defensive ult for against like Graviton Dragons? The Transcendence is just wasted.
More often than not now, you don't use that trance. Get called out as well. So to keep you careful.
Stop using that trance.
Stop using the trance for that, because you're just going to die anyway. Exactly that. And the Coalescence does a good job of damaging everybody in a line. And with this tanky comp, they want to stick together. They want to just push as a whole, and the Coalescence does a good job of that. And supplementing a little bit of that damage through the shields onto people like Christopher. Christopher was able to stand up most of the time, but the Coalescence is kind of overbearing at times, especially when mixed in with another healing orb, for example. It can just be too much healing and damage coming out from just that singular ultimate.
Not only that, when you talk about the Coalescence, one of the main things people bring out to try and deal with these tanky compositions is a Pharah. And the Coalescence is very good for facilitating a dive onto the Pharah, because you get damage onto the Pharah, and if you're lining up properly, Hafigul's also getting healed all of the way up as well when he's delivering that additional damage with the micro missiles, the fusion cannons, the impact and the melee, and that can quickly remove a Pharah from the field, which could have been a pain for your team. But now British Hurricane, they've got to make sure they don't get held on first. They've got to prove their dominance here. They've got to make sure that Rialto is British Hurricane's map, and to do that, it will be the dive tanks with 2 snipers.
Yeah, he's just going to take that 1v1 with asking. Who will come out top this time? It has been asking more often than not, but maybe Nesh can get his head in.
Or get his head off.
Yeah, well, that's what asking wants.
Well, British Hurricane once again are going to be mixing it up. We're going over to the Goats comp. 3-3. We are pathetic, Jaws. Actually, no, they're swapping it up. They decided they don't want Kib on the Brigitte. Instead, they're going to put him onto the Rotok so he can potentially get a little cheeky hook here and there, play the different angles, because they know that Christopher can only shield in one direction with the Sarissa and can't move it quite readily.
One of the best things about this meta is the variability of a lot of these rosters. And
2.0 coming through.
Hurricane doing a fantastic job of showcasing that right now. An instant swap up, knowing they don't want to deal with asking, because that is exactly why. Crusade is going to go down, finds the shot somehow in amongst the tanky bodies, even tries to get a little bit more damage on the Reinhardt. Not quite succeeding, but British Hurricane just happy to wait around this corner.
Yeah, but he hops himself into harm's way there. Arson's going to lay down the Venom Trap and see if anyone's going to trip on that and maybe smell the gravy, but Crusade has rejoined his team now, so the speed boost is available and in they come.
Well, I hope there's not Gravy in there. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how Gravy does damage, but Fusion's going extremely low. Sapri already has that Dragon Strike available to him, and even asking with his, he's got his eyes set straight on Box head. And in fact, Nesh's as well, as he goes extremely low, does get healed up, but there are the Dragons cleaning everybody from the point. Fusion's forced forward here, and in fact, has to receive a particle barrier from the Xayah in order to stay alive.
Indeed he has. Asking still looking for shots here. The Venom Mine's been triggered and the Holt's going to bring people in, but British Hurricane is still moving forward with control of the car.
This is what we're saying about the Coalescence now. Hurricane are all clumped up, and that's a lot of damage going forward onto this bridge as well. Fusion's done a good job of actually killing Heiko and his mech, and now Hurricane capping that point in almost record time here. 4 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. They're using that Lucio speed boost to punish every step Asking is taken. Crusade is going to end up going down, and that, you can see the gold box on the floor. That's the only place they need to be able to get it to. They have 4 minutes and 30 seconds to work with, Harry.
And they already have control of that space and so many ultimates to work with. You asked how could Gravy damage someone, but I'm sure my northern family and their arteries would like to give you some evidence.
I was going to say, maybe it's really hot, I don't know. He'd been a very hot and bothersome situation. In fact, that Graviton surge straight into the hole.
Brutal.
That was a quick 6K. Asking does manage to take out 2 members, though. Don't ask me how he does it. Crusade and Kib are going to fall, but there are 2 members on that cart still pushing it around the corner.
And now Christopher's got to hold his nerve, because Fusion's going to be looking to put this one in the bag with that Earth Shadow. Spent was 3 ultimates from British Hurricane, but it all comes down to this with still 3 minutes left on the clock, almost 4. Snakes need to make their stand now.
Still vying for that map point. Remember, they are very crucial, especially coming into these later weeks. Asking, getting a lot of shots on the front line. The sound barrier is going to get dropped from British Hurricane. Everybody at Kib is going to receive it, and that'll be Happy Cool moving forward, being very aggressive. The hammer does hit the floor, but that Dragon's actually cutting the rest of the members of Hurricane off. They are going to be able to secure a couple of members here, and Asking against Zupre. They're going to go down with 3 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. This might just be Hurricane's time. They finally turned it around. They managed to secure Rialto, but Snakes, they clutch victory as a whole with 3-1 being the final map score.
It wasn't the sweep, but this was the proof that we needed about Snakes. They are here. They are a serious Contenders team. They were built from the ground up. They surrendered full control to the coach, and that leadership has paid off now as they take down the champions pretty convincingly.
Oh, they did. Oasis was very close to start us off with. I've got to put that out there. British Hurricane doing a good job again on this 3-3 comp. They just seem so perfect for it, and they're showcasing that again here. These tanky compositions just mowing over everybody but Asking, leaving him to the very end and just saying, okay, well, you can't receive the rest of the support of your team because they're already dead.
Well, looks like we may have to think about some sort of post-mortem for British Hurricane. What's going on, guys? I imagine our analysts have a better idea, so let's see what they think.